This is crazy that a guy like me in a nightclub can sell a bottle of water for $10 that some people don't even open. And yet, at the time, 1 billion people worldwide were living without clean water. Everybody can come together and agree that human beings need clean water. Kids should not be dying of bad water because they had to drink from a swamp. So we would go to dinner at 10 o'clock, we would go to the club at 12, and then we might go to after hours at 4. Well, my breaking point came at 28, and it was really a realization that I was on the wrong path. My life on the outside looked great. I dated a girl who was on the cover of fashion magazines. I drove a BMW. I had a grand piano in my New York City apartment, and the Labrador Retriever, the dog I always wanted. I realized I was deeply unhappy. And if I continued down this path, I was leaving perhaps one of the most meaningless legacies of anybody on the planet. I mean, my tombstone might actually read, "Here lies Scott Harrison, who has gotten 1 million people wasted." And I realized that I needed to make a radical change because I didn't want my tombstone to read that. One organization said, if I was actually willing to pay them $500 a month and go live in Liberia, which was the poorest country in the world, then I could serve. I lived on a huge hospital ship, and my role was the photojournalist. I was going to be documenting all of the work that these amazing doctors and surgeons did. The country had come out of 14 years of civil war and was just broken. And what I saw there just shocked me. I saw leprosy, I saw people with facial tumors and flesh-eating diseases, stuff I'd never even heard of. And I learned that half of the country was drinking from green, algae-filled swamps, from brown, viscous. And I learned that the lack of clean water was causing so many of these health issues. So instead of wanting to go fund, another hospital ship or pay for more surgeries, I thought, why don't I go attack the root cause of so much of this sickness? So why don't I make water my issue? When I first got on the ship, I took an email list of 15,000 people with me. So I'd spent 10 years building up an email list, inviting people to fashion parties, and it was a pretty shocking thing, because in August you got invited to a Prada megastore opening party. And then in September, you got emails about tumors. Most people were responding to these images, these videos that I was sharing, the stories saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know that people were living like this. How can I help? The only idea I had to get Charity Water started was to throw my 31st birthday in a club, get 700 people to come, and then on the way in I said, hey, please just drop $20. 100% of this money is going to go to a refugee camp in northern Uganda and help people get clean water. And that night, I remember there was actually a guy who was selling weed who I knew, and he came into the party and he dropped $500 in that box. And he said to me, this is the first charitable donation I have ever made in my life, but I know where all this money is going to go. And that night we raised $15,000. We took 100% of the money to that camp. We built a few projects, and then we sent the photos, the GPS, and then video back to the 700 people that came. And people were so blown away. We've never taken money from governments. We don't often take money from foundations. It's just everyday people that reject the apathy, right, that would be so easy to embrace with a global problem this big. But we can't touch any of that money to pay our staff, to pay for our office. So it's been incredibly difficult, but we believe in the model so much. It's been, 15 years now. I never touched coke or any of that stuff again. Never gambled again, never set foot in a strip club or looked at pornography or any of that. I've now been to 69 countries around the world. I've been to Ethiopia 30 separate times. I recently saw the first well built for my 31st birthday in that nightclub, that party in the nightclub. And it was 11 years later, and it's still working. And the well was all banged up. I mean, it was dented, and we reckoned it had been pumped 50 million times. It had pumped over 10 million liters You know, imagine that's like 20 million glasses of water over the last 10 years. And to see it still working was so moving. And to see the women and the children in that village and know that they were continuing to benefit because a bunch of people came to a party and tossed 20 bucks. A decade later, it felt amazing. I used to promote then, you know, hey, turn up at our club, get past the velvet rope, and sit with all the beautiful people inside and your life has meaning. And for the last 12 years, I've been saying, care for others, right? Give of your heart to compassion and empathy and reach out your hands. Be a global citizen, be a good neighbor. Give generously and your life has a greater purpose. And you can be really proud of that. So I'm still promoting, just a completely different thing.